Happy Wednesday. Man, what beautiful weather we've been having this week, huh? I'm just out. Nothing better than a beautiful day to sit out on a rope swing on a great big old tree. My goodness. It's just a wonderful thing. Sitting out here on my wonderful swing in this wonderful kind of cool place that I wanted to show you before we get to our math question of the day on this beautiful Wednesday morning. Wink, wink. And this place is called Silo City, and it's just phenomenal, this place. I better get off this before people start getting seasick, huh? This place called Silo City. Isn't this tree incredible behind me? Oh, great place to go swinging on a swing. This place called Silo City is quite interesting because somebody bought it up and named it Silo City. It wasn't named Silo City. It was just a bunch of things called grain elevators, which we haven't really learned about yet in school, but we're going to be learning about them. So while it's still nice, I thought I'd come out and show you a little bit about them. You know, last Wednesday, I told you about the great big break wall that was there protecting the Buffalo Harbor. Well, that great big break wall, what it was protecting was these great big giant 200-foot long ships that came into the Buffalo Harbor. And a break wall and a harbor is a safe place for ships to go and land. We talked about that last year. And the break wall keeps the waves from coming and hitting the ships in the harbor. It breaks the waves. It's a break wall. But what they wanted to do was to get in here and get down the Buffalo River and to go get to these places and load where there's grain elevators. And those grain elevators, you didn't take a floor from the bottom to the top. Grain elevator was really just a place to store grain. Grain was the big thing in Buffalo. In fact, Buffalo was the largest grain storage area in the United States, and for quite a long time, the entire planet Earth. Pretty crazy to think about, right? But these grain elevators are all over the place here. If you see right here, this one here, that's a grain elevator right there. That's way down the river. If I go around like this, you're gonna see another one of these things right there. That's a grain elevator. Another one there. And if I keep going around, my goodness, you'll see even more. There's one there, and there's a different one there. These things were quite a marvel in their day. When they were built, I mean, people would come to see them actually. But when they were first built, Joseph Dart built them because he had to solve a problem. He was a builder. And the problem was when the ships would come in to unload their grain, they would have to go down into the ship, put a basket on their back, carry the grain out of the boat. And that would take about 7 days to unload a boat. When he invented this thing, which had something called the marine leg, which I'll talk about next week, when he invented these things, once a ship pulled up to them, they could unload a ship in 7 hours. It really changed everything. And we'll talk about that in more detail. But there's some of these left. A lot of them have been torn down. And they were amazing buildings. They had to invent how to build them. They were built out of concrete. They were built out of concrete because with grain is explosive and there's always a fear of explosions. So they had to make sure they were solid. And man, what do you think? Solid or what? That's a little one right there. Some of them are most of them are twice as tall as that. These things were bomb-proof, literally, because they were storing stuff that would explode. So amazing building. Another building, here's some interesting buildings. I came here too because of this builder of nature. You see this weird structure behind me, right? This is a beehive. This was built by architects at the UB School of Architecture, and you'll see a shape in there all throughout going up and down this structure. It's a hexagon. It's a hexagon because bees, who are another great builders, use hexagons in their honeycombs. If you look at a bee's honeycomb where all the honey is, every single one of those wax things is shaped like a hexagon, just like we have right here. And I'm gonna try to, if you see things flying right now, that's because they're bees. So I'm gonna try to look inside here without getting stung, and hopefully you'll be able to see it too. I just gotta adjust the camera a little bit and let me get, ooh, there's lots of bees. Yowza, yowza, yowza. Careful, Mr. Thompson. Let me adjust that a little bit differently so I can do a better job. Hopefully you can see all the activity in there. Probably a little bit difficult, but all those bees are building their hives with their honey. And all of those things are hexagons. You know that we glued in your math journal the hexagon question. Oh, word of the day for an extra point. It's coming up. It's actually going to be a name. In your math journals, you glued in those pages and you have no idea what they are or what you're supposed to do with them. Well, let's take a little look here. Found this little scrap piece of wood here, and it has, if I took that one hexagon and then I took that one hexagon and I put another row of hexagons around it, it would look something like this here, right? It would have the center hexagon and a bunch of hexagons around it. So our math journal question, give me 1 second, boys and girls. There's some prickers down here and it hurts. So our math journal question, we have the thing that you have has a lot more hexagons than this, right? It's actually got 18 different hexagons. So if we look at this, we can see that I've drawn some arrows here. There are different rows in these hexagons. So if you follow this arrow, you see there's a row. Follow that arrow. There's another row right down the middle, another row down there. And I can follow the arrows again. I go like this. There's another row. There's another row. There's another row. So that's 6 different rows. And if I turn it, you'll see one more time that there's another row and another row. So there's 9 different rows. Now, there was a mathematician years ago that decided to try to figure out if he did one more row around here, that would give him 19 hexagons. And he thought to himself, well, I should be able to place the numbers 1 through 19 in each of those hexagons, and each of the rows should add up to the same number. He didn't know what the same number would be, but he worked on it and he worked on it and he worked on it. It actually took him, you're not going to believe this, but it's true, it actually took him 37 years to do this. And then, wait for it, he lost the solution. True story. Took him another 5 years to figure it out again, and then he presented it to the mathematical community. Unbelievable. 37 years and then you lose it. So keep track of your things, boys and girls. There's a lesson there. Now, your job is to, you know what the end number is. It's on your piece of paper. It's going to be on the 845 drop. And what you have to do is you have to figure out, using only the numbers 1 through 19, putting them into the hexagons so each row adds up to the same number. That may sound impossible. It took him 37 years, but you already have some of the answers, don't you? Some of the numbers are on there. So if there's 3 in a row and we know 2 of the answers, certainly we can figure out the last one. So use a little bit of deductive reasoning to try to figure out how to do this. Okay? That's your math journal. Oh, and you're wondering the math mystery word that you get an extra point for. It is the last name of the guy who invented the grain elevator. You write that on the top of your math journal, you get a free point because that means you watched the video. Wait, you don't remember who it was? You weren't really paying attention? Oh, well, you can rewatch the video or you can look it up. Who invented the grain elevator? His last name. All right. Bye. We'll see you at 10:30.